Hey everybody, I'm Tommy and you are on the lifeboat. Sorry. Sorry. A little, probably cat fur. The squirrel's been all over me. And I am trying to get Squirrel into a video. Currently, she's been playing with her sister nonstop. The two of them have gotten into this thing where they fight now, and it's not like really fighting. They sort of do this jujitsu where they jump on top of each other and wrestle around, and nobody really gets hurt. But it's a hell of a lot of fun to watch, and that's what they've been up to. So I'll probably post. Let's try that again. Can I get a 5x5? It'll be really weird just happened, then my entire black. So if I can get a 5x5. Hey, Tommy Bird. Hey, Roberta. Good to see you. Jane Aldrich, what's happening? Kristen, Melinda, Kay, Katie, and Roberta. Jane Aldrich, how are you? Hope both the Aldriches are doing well. There's Squirrel Nut Zipper. Come here. Come here. Yeah, she's not going to play. So, if you caught the last two shows, this is the craziest thing that has ever happened. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not trying to blow this up. But I'm going to explain it to some people because now I'm starting to get a better handle on this. What makes prosecuting attorneys stick their head in the noose voluntarily? What makes police officers turn themselves in voluntarily, knowing that what they're turning themselves in for probably carries a life sentence or pretty damn close to it? If you didn't catch the last two shows that I have done, it is really easy to get lost in the Diddyverse, and it's very easy to get very excited about cases where people make accusations, and we come out and we do stories. And you know something? I'm guilty as hell of this. I really am, and I'm now looking at the entire true crime thing in a very, very different way. Tell you a quick story. About 7 months ago, we did a story on Derek Lee Cardello Smith and a $100 million summary judgment awarded to Derek Smith, Cardello Smith, against Sean Combs for $100 million. You guys may remember this was 7 months ago. I came out and I did a show on it. Then, about 2 days later, I came out and I said, hey, Mark Agnifilo and his team showed up, right? Now, to be honest, I was wrong. It wasn't Mark Agnifilo and his team. A lot of people have reported that. It wasn't. At the time, it was somebody else that they hired to come in and do a kind of a pinch hit thing. And I remember because I watched it. It was one that was actually televised, and it wasn't Mark Agnifilo, I assure you. But what the lawyer said was, this guy's a con man. This Cardello Smith, he's a con man. He's got, 17 sexual assault charges against him? This is a convicted kidnapper, a convicted rapist, and he has already been called out for filing frivolous lawsuits. Right? That this has already happened since he's been a inmate. And you know what I did? I believed him. I came back here and I said to you guys, well, the good news is that, the bad news is that Diddy didn't lose $100 million. You may remember this video. I said, the other bad news, we wanted Diddy to lose that money. On the bright side, it would have been going to a rapist and a pretty bad dude. Turns out, this isn't a pretty bad dude. At least it's certainly not looking that way on paper. Derek Lee Cardello Smith was born in 1972 on November the 1st, 1972. He grew up in Michigan. And we don't know what he did. But whatever he did enabled him to put together some finances. Maybe he was dealing drugs. Maybe he had a great real job. Who knows, right? I think we tend to start to lean toward drug dealing or crime just because the people who associated with Sean Combs seem to have come from that lifestyle. But whatever it was, he came up with $150,000. And this is all alleged, right? Always. But he alleges that he gave Sean Diddy Combs $150,000 in the 90s. To help him get Bad Boy off the ground. And for that, he was promised 49%. So not controlling interest, obviously. That would be the 51%. But half of everything that Diddy made. How about that? Sean John, Revolt, everything that came after should have belonged, 50% or 49% of it, should have belonged to Derek Lee Cardello Smith. He was brought on as a bartender. And apparently he worked as a bartender for years for Diddy, at least two of them. This is the story as it's unfolding now. And then his relationship with Diddy soured. And it soured the first time probably that Diddy raped him, because that tends to sour a relationship. Cardello Smith's poison apparently was Jim Beam, and one day Diddy spiked the Jim Beam, told him he did, and when he woke up, he was in bed with Diddy, at least one other woman, and Cardello Smith. And Diddy was mid-coitus and told him that he had just finished doing the same thing to him. I think he said something along the lines of, the quote was, "I was just up in you first." It's pretty disturbing. Derek Lee Cardello Smith did what a lot of people probably would have done in the exact same situation. He called the police and said, "I've been raped." So there's the moral of the story on this one is that he lent Diddy $150K to get half of his business. Diddy didn't want to give up half of the business. So he came up with a better idea that was a lot cheaper. And we know how cheap it is because we have affidavits this time. This isn't Cardello Smith. When he filed the $100 million lawsuit, it sounded like BS, and we all kind of laughed about it a little bit. Right? Everybody kind of just giggled about that a little bit. $100 million lawsuit. Says he got raped, by Diddy, blah, blah, blah. This man has 14 charges against him. All of them are sexual assault charges, or kidnapping for the purpose of sexual assault, or enticing someone for the purpose of sex. All of them are rape charges. He's in protective custody where he would have to be. He's about 5'10", 180 pounds, with a lot of really bad paperwork. A lot of really bad paperwork that doesn't belong to him. So what's happened that makes this so much different is that this time, when Derek Cardello Smith files his paperwork, he files it, and there's a woman named Suzette Samuels who files a sworn affidavit. And this sworn affidavit says, "I set this guy up. And I had help," right? The number of people that were involved in putting this man in prison is absolutely horrific. And they claim 128 other people, maybe all of them thought they had 50% in Bad Boy. Huh? We know that Wolf Jones, we've heard this story from a million people. Anthony Wolf Jones allegedly invested, $300K is a number that gets bantied around. We don't know, but a pile of money. And something bad happened to him. In this bombshell that just got filed, there are affidavits from a police officer. There are an affidavit from every victim that has accused Derek Lee Cardello Smith of rape. All of them have recanted. The first of which is not a name you're going to see as much. Her name is Carly Carpenter. And Carly Carpenter, best I can figure this out, Carly Carpenter started this ball rolling. As it works out, you pay somebody $4,000 to destroy someone's life and call them a rapist, and they just might develop a conscience. And one of them did. Now, as a retired criminal, when things start going really bad really quick, sometimes you got to cut bait. And I believe that Assistant Prosecutor Suzette Samuels, who, by the way, is still in office. You heard? She's still practicing law. When she signed this sworn affidavit, she did it not just as a citizen, but as Suzette Samuels, prosecuting attorney with a bar card. And she said, "I helped frame this man. I did it with the help of a police officer by the name of Officer Rabier, I believe is how they pronounce her last name. It's Rabior. And this cop says, I was paid $132,000 by Sean Combs to file false police reports. She alleges that magistrate judges and others officials were bribed." These people aren't just alleging. They're saying, "I made the payment." You understand? The money came down, was disseminated to me through Kim Worthy, who was the head prosecutor. By the way, Mike Dugan is the mayor of Detroit. You guys remember Kwame Kilpatrick? Does that name sound familiar to you? This was a cat who ran on bringing back Motor City. And he was awesome. It's a black dude that was phenomenal speaker. I doubled back today and watched his inaugural speech, and it was absolutely nothing short of like goosebump inspiring stuff. He really had people believing he was going to turn the city around. Instead, he stole tons of cash. He embezzled, allegedly, right? He ended up going to prison for this, so obviously there was something there. But there was a hot new prosecutor in the office that was out making a name for herself, right? Her name was Kim Worthy. And Kim Worthy prosecuted her mayor because he lied on the stand, because he was corrupt. Guess who's heading to that stand now? Sad. It really is. This woman is part of initiatives and all kinds of stuff, and she really looks from the outside like she's a baller. Like she really is doing something to try to make this a better place to live. Unless, of course, you happen to be an innocent black man who invested with Sean Combs. Because it is alleged by Suzette Samuels that she had two bosses, right? Rebbe Orr, the cop, says the same thing. They had bosses. One of the bosses was Kim Worthy. And the other boss was Sean Combs. No farting around. Plain and simple. Now, are other people covering this? I have literally been scouring the internet trying to find people covering this. The DUI lawyer did a hell of a job. BJ did it over on the Secret Witness channel. Rabbit did a great job on it. But outside of like 3 or 4, like the DUI attorney, I watched that. Somebody put that in the chat last night. I went back and watched his, and he did a phenomenal job. I actually got this in an email, a tip from one of you, and it was from Instagram. Somebody had done an Instagram story, which is what got me trying to find the paperwork on this. But when 7 years ago, they were trying to get the summary judgment. You know what a summary judgment is? I sue you and I say, you did X, Y, and Z, and I want $5,000 for what you did to me. And you don't show up. The courts get pissed. That's a disrespectful thing to the judge, right? You didn't show. So the judge can go, I'm just going to decide in dude's favor, right? Screw the guy that didn't show up. You get $5,000. Bang, the gavel goes down, and now your job is to try to actually collect that, which sometimes could be a little bit more difficult. But they thought Diddy blew off Cardello Smith's filing, and they said, all right, he doesn't want to show up. Screw that rich, mogul, music mogul, playboy, whatever. I'm going to find a summary judgment for $100 million. Now, that was overturned. I've asked a couple of lawyers, and apparently these things are overturned constantly. Constantly. They always want to at least give somebody an opportunity to go in there and say, hey, I didn't know about this, Your Honor. Like, this was news to me, and yeah, I would like to answer to it. But had I known, blah, blah, blah. But while they were doing that, the lawyer said, this guy's a con man. And of course, I believed them, right? Because how could you be in prison for 14 rapes you didn't do, right? I mean, that's not possible. That's not possible in our system. How many people would you have to pay off in order to make that happen? And we're figuring that out, honestly, through the affidavits. It looks like about a dozen will do it, right? Pay off about a dozen people. Looks like about 200,000 or more got spread around, at least for him. We don't know about the other 128 investors. Now, you got 150,000 in cash to invest with somebody that wants to start a record label. I'm guessing you don't pay a lot of taxes. Now, maybe I'm being a cynic, right? But you think anybody would be shocked to find out there's a lot of gangbanging, drug dealing money that financed a couple of hip hop records? You think anybody would be shocked to hear that? How many people did Diddy promise half of Bad Boy Records to? How many gangsters walking around the street handing that guy bags of money, thinking that they were owning 10%, 20%, 49%, whatever? And how many other cities did this happen in? Right? We got somebody that got a conscience. We got a woman who got a conscience, and Carly Carpenter started to talk and say, I got paid $4,000 to set this dude up. And the lawyers who said, Cardello Smith is a con man, and I can prove it. You know how they proved it? They said, check this out. Here's the filing in the county that they were in Michigan. Here it is, Your Honor. He filed this with you. Here is the exact same filing with 3 other courts. And all he's doing is changing where he claims the rape against him took place. And I'm sitting there watching it that day going, this man is a con man. He's going to try to sue every single jurisdiction. How the hell does he think he's going to get away with that? Duh. Eh? Tommy, the genius. Sharp on the uptake, right? My first thought was, what's he going to try to get multiple settlements? No! He knew the judge he was filing to had already been paid off to take his appeals and drop them into the trash. And we know this is the truth because one of the appeals had stapled to it an affidavit from the woman who claimed Robbie, don't have her name in front of me, but the sisters, right? Stapled to it saying, I got paid. He never raped me. In fact, I've never even been in the same place as this dude. How's that? What judge throws that in the trash? Well, the answer to that question is a judge that is on the payroll and has gotten $32,000 to continually throw these things in the trash. Allegedly. Now, this is alleged by prosecutors, right? Suzette Samuel says, my boss, Kim Worthy, dirty as they get. Filthy. She's in on it. These are sworn affidavits. You understand the concept of an affidavit. What you're saying is everything I'm writing down on this paper is true. In fact, I'm going to sign my name to it, right? And say it's true. And I'm going to bring somebody in. I'm going to show them my ID so that they know that it's Tommy Scoville signing this, right? And I'm not somebody else. It is the legal way of verifying a statement so that you can enter into court with it and say, this person swears to this, right? Affidavit's a big deal. It's a bigger deal when the affidavit comes from a cop who says, I feared for the life of my family and I feared for my own life. I was threatened by Sean Combs and I feared for my life. I'm sure the $132,000 that she got paid probably had something to do with that also. But I do believe she probably feared for her life. But you see what Cardello Smith did was he jumped the curb. And a couple of these filings got in front of judges that hadn't been paid off. And it got people talking. If you look at the docket sheets for how many times this fool has filed something. By the way, I had said on one of the other videos, honestly, I'm kind of impressed with all of the filings. Well, I should be. I guess Derek Lee figured out when he got to prison, since he wasn't there for anything he did wrong, it might be a good idea to become a paralegal, which he did. He went and got his paralegal certificate. I would imagine that he might be able to go into law when he gets out of prison. He's been studying the crap out of it. Now, what took place? Does Derek Lee write to Suzette and say, hey, guess what? The 3 women who accused me of rape, I have affidavits from them saying that you guys paid them. Are you going to be on my team? Or are you going to deny that this happened because the dominoes are dropping? The dominoes are dropping. How fast will someone turn on you? Well, you might want to ask old Kim Worthy how fast someone will turn on you. Because Suzette and the officer Rabier, or whatever her name is, Rabier, they're trying to protect themselves. They're trying to cut a deal, right? But I want to put this in perspective for all of you and let you know just how mother-loving, terrifying this is. It is alleged in the filing that prior to trying to get Cardello Smith incarcerated for 75 years for rape, they tried to kill him. They hired a hitman, right? And the hitman's name was Vinny. That makes sense, right? Vincent Smothers, Vinny Smothers. He's a criminal, right? He's got a long criminal record, which means he's been in and out of the system a bunch, and they could approach him and say, oh, you got this, and this pending. How'd you like $5,000 and to have all of your criminal cases go away? Shocker. He said, sure, what do I have to do? Allegedly, they said, kill the one witness who can keep Cardello Smith out of court. All of this. But first they tried to kill him. They sent this dude after him to try to kill him. And he ends up killing a guy in the process. Right? Self-defense. Cardello Smith. This is the story. Cardello Smith, allegedly, kills the guy in self-defense. Now, they can't prosecute him on this. Because if they do, they're going to figure out who the stiff is. Right? And any kind of investigation at all is going to go, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. And it's going to get out of control. So instead, they use the same group of people that they hired to try to kill him to change it to, let's send him to prison instead. But now, they got to get rid of this murder, right? There's this file out there with Cardello Smith in it. And, you know, there are housewives now to get on the internet and F up people's lives, right? Look at all of the different women out there and guys out there that are chasing down these crimes and in many cases solving them. So, allegedly, on this affidavit, they said that they threw out all of the murder files so that they could hide the one from Cardello Smith. This is alleged in the affidavit. I'm not making this up. 8 years worth. 8 years worth of murder files deleted. If that's true, what happens if you're one of them? You're in prison for murder. You put an appeal in and they go, yeah, we don't have any files. We don't know what the hell you're talking about. We can't find anything. I mean, maybe there's shit in the evidence locker, but there's not going to be any way for us to correspond this case to it because the case has kind of magically disappeared. Everything we have on it's gone. 8 years? Huh? As you start to deep dive this puppy, you get into some really weird crap, right? The weirdest thing is this. Nobody's covering it. Nobody. I mean, nobody. And by the way, when I say nobody, Rabbit killed it. You know, and she always does. She did a great job. I watched her video. I watched the DUI attorney. That's what I believe his name is. He killed it. Did a great job. Excellent job. Both of them absolutely killed it. And so did Rabbit. They had BJ killed it. They always do. Those, you know, the three of them are all solid YouTubers. But this is why is it no one else is touching this? Huh? Who can keep a story like this off of the front page? Because are you going to tell me that the people at CNN and at Fox and at whatever other ones are popping up, there's a bunch of smaller ones now, I guess. But all of these news services, nobody finds this to be a story. 128 men, right? People sitting in offices right now who have signed affidavits. The prosecutor's going to work today. No one's telling this story. By the way, I called the prosecutor's office, right? I wanted a statement. Not going to happen. I called Mike Dugan's office. Mike Dugan would be currently the mayor of Detroit. Now you say, why do you want the mayor's? Oh, well, the mayor used to be a prosecutor. And allegedly, he got paid off in this to help put Cardello Smith away before he became the mayor. Yeah, I mean, you talk about a crap show, folks. Ask yourself a question. What do you do if you find out that you don't know whether or not every person you convicted is legitimately convicted? What do you do? Anybody got any ideas? You most assuredly can't open the doors and let everybody out, right? There are some Charlie Mansons in there. There are some Drew Petersons in there. There are some sick bastards in there. There's probably a couple of Larry Nassers. But the point is, you can't leave them in there, can you? Honestly, can you? I mean, you know for a fact that all of these judges are on the... Let's bust off some names. Willie Lipscomb, who, by the way, was... Willie Lipscomb stuck out to me among the judges that I looked up. And the reason he did is because he's black. And I'm sorry, but, you know, this is... to know that you're taking 128 innocent black men and putting them in prison, because let's not shit each other. They've been putting innocent black people in prison for a really long time. A really, really long time. And you'd like to believe that maybe that crap ended in the 50s. Right? Something we'd all like to believe. This rocks the entire legal system. Right? I know Bringing up Jaguar Wright's name is terrifying in this day and age because everybody now would rather talk about content creators than content. But remember when she said that she had the ability to do this number from the back of the court? And I said at the time, the longer you know this woman, the less stuff seems crazy. Well, 128 people summarily sentenced, their lives thrown away. I started reading Cardello Smith's rap sheet. And everything, every single thing they convicted him of, they didn't just want to send him away. They wanted to send him to hell. He's in PCs, in protective custody. Obviously, he can't walk a yard with 14 rape charges. Well, 12 rape charges, a couple of kidnappings. Never happened. Never happened. Affidavits from the police officer that said, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Suzette Samuel is guilty. Kim Worthy is guilty. Willie Lipscomb is guilty. Daniel P. Ryan, the Honorable Daniel P. Ryan, white guy. Thomas Cameron, white guy. Bridget Mary Hathaway, who according to sworn affidavits was still getting cash last month. Hear that? According to sworn affidavits, Judge Bridget Mary Hathaway, you can look her up too. She needs to hit her face with a little bit of powder. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but every time this woman is on film, she shines like somebody hit her with some Vaseline before she went out on stage. There was an officer named Cobb who apparently committed suicide. I'd like to believe Cobb killed himself because he knew what he was doing was so mother-loving messed up. Now start thinking about getting on a private jet. Now start thinking about renting out a boat for $250,000 a week or $400,000 a week and bringing all of your kids and everybody on board. Knowing, right, that you got wranglers out there bringing on, this is alleged, right? Alleged. You got wranglers bringing on women that you can sexually assault. And while you're partying, at any point during that, do you think to yourself, I wonder what old Derek is doing today? Huh? I wonder what happened to the man whose life I stole when he was in his 20s. He's been sitting in prison. He's 52, people. He's 52. Holy hell. Who is paying the bills? Well, that's a really good question. And what Cindy means by this is something that should jump out at you, right? Diddy's in prison, right? Well, jail. So who's paying the bills? Now, I had this conversation with Johnny Scoville, Cindy, because he said the same thing. We were watching this morning, and he says, what the hell is going on, man? Like, how is this still getting paid? Well, I would imagine that he's got, handlers and lawyers. Like, this was a RICO case, right? Diddy didn't run this thing alone. But let's say you quit paying the judge, right? You go to prison and you can't keep making payments. What's the judge going to do? All of a sudden say, well, I think I'll hear this next appeal. You realize what happens, right? It's like a cop. It's like a guard that smuggles dope into a prison. The second he does, he's owned or she's owned. That first package gets delivered and it's the end of your life because you're going to keep bringing it to them until they decide to get you arrested. If you stop, they bust you, right? It's pretty crazy stuff. Now, I don't know who's paying the bills, but I know that even if the bills stop getting paid, they're going to keep throwing this stuff in the trash. They had to keep throwing this stuff in the trash. They had to keep Derek Cardello Smith's appeals from getting onto the desk of someone that didn't get paid off. You understand? This stuff comes across any normal person, right? Hold on one second. Vivian P., there are a lot of judges, a lot of places that are corrupt, and this is the proof of it, isn't it? This is the proof of it. Folks, what the hell do you do with the state of Michigan? So this gets crazier. Because what I want to find, I'm deep diving this. I've been doing this since the last time I saw you. I'm not exaggerating. Right? And I'm deep diving this stuff, and I'm trying to find something You telling me nobody was onto this? Well, you do find a couple of people. There are some people that have been listening to this guy for a while. You really got to dig to find it. But you got to dig. The miscarriage of justice that this is, and look, a person can say whatever they want about you, right? We've already figured this out. And who cares, right? Who cares? Con man, whatever the hell you want to call someone, who cares? But what they did to this man's reputation isn't just somebody talking. Nothing you could do for Derek Lee Cardello Smith will make this right. Nothing. Let's say that they said, okay, well then you own half of everything that this guy owns, right? And you sue Michigan, and Michigan gives you what? $500 million or whatever they decide to give you. You think that makes you right? You're in your 50s. You spent all of your 30s, all of your 40s incarcerated. Incarcerated, hated by every single man in there. Everybody in there is making a knife, trying to stick you with it the first chance they get. And you didn't do a damn thing to earn it. That's a nightmare. And as you're in there and you're filing paperwork, this poor guy is in there going, all right, here's what I'll do. I'll leave the name of the city out in this one, and I'll file this 3 cities over. And I'll claim that my girlfriend lived in that town. And the reason I'm filing in this city is because prior to becoming incarcerated, that was my residence for the 6 months prior to me going to, and this is a hustle with it. A lot of times a guy will try to appeal to the Ninth Circuit because he's got a better shot of appealing to the Ninth Circuit. So guys will say, oh yeah, my girlfriend, I was living with a chick in San Francisco right before this happened, or I was living with a chick in Vegas, or any of the states that fall within the Ninth Circuit. This is a hustle that guys do a lot. But he's trying to do it within the state. He just needs to get this to a judge who hasn't been paid off. Because any other judge takes this and goes, wait, what? The witnesses, the victims, the people that said I got raped are now swearing out sworn affidavits that they got paid for this. They also say, one of them in particular, that she was sexually trafficked by P. Diddy, that she was a sex slave for all intent and purpose for this guy. While all of these things are going on and they're doing everything they can to keep these people locked up, right? While all of this is going on, she's a toy, right? Diddy is passing this girl around. So not only is she helping to get Cardello Smith locked up for 75 years, but she's banging prosecutors and judges and all of whoever in the hierarchy of the court systems that just wants an opportunity to sleep with someone a lot younger than themselves, someone who doesn't want to sleep with them but is being forced to do it. Well, then she's out there as a party favor. And isn't that nice? Huh? Ain't that nice? This is the biggest story of all time. You may not believe that, but it is. The number of judges that are bought and paid for that we know of, this has got to be the tip of the iceberg. We're only hearing of one of the 128 cases. How many cops? You telling me this Rabior girl did all of this? I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Although, in 2 different affidavits, both of them said, I continued to keep Cardello Smith locked up. I continued to do the same thing to other people at the behest of my bosses, and that would be Kim and Diddy, right? Kim Worthy and Sean Combs. And it was written to say, and I'm still doing it today. She's not gone yet. Still doing it. Still doing it today. Cops said the same thing. I've been setting people up for them forever, and I'm still doing it. I have to. Well, I guess they want out. How scared do you have to be of Kaiser Sose to confess to everything they're confessing to? Honest to God. I mean, what do you think it carries when you walk into a judge and you say, well, I took $132K. I paid off 6 judges. Or 5 judges personally, because I was ordered to by these people. I paid off a prosecutor. I paid 3 witnesses. I got this guy 75 years, right? And I've been doing this consistently now for decades. You don't think that's going to carry life? I mean, I understand that Suzette and that Rabior and all these people are looking for, maybe they can get out. before the end of their life. Because if you turn state's evidence on this and you take down the entire shooting match, and I'm talking about a perp walk that's going to be, this will be bigger than all of the people at Bad Boy that are going to get arrested. I promise. I promise. The cop said, yeah, my boss knew about it. My boss was one of the ones that set me up. Everybody's in on this. Everybody. Remember a year ago when I said, yeah, this is going to sound nuts, but he's got bodyguards that swear you go into police precincts around the country, right? The first one we heard about was allegedly in Harlem. But there's also allegedly one in LA where when they got the pictures of the cops, and it's like a captain and a lieutenant, and then like the chief of police, right, or the sheriff or whatever, Diddy, right? His picture up on the wall right next to him. I said last night, I said $5,000, man. Like I could have bought my judge for $5,000, and I spent over 20 on my attorney. And Johnny said to me, you know, $5,000 to throw a man's life away and to risk your entire career. Right? Is that, well, multiply that by 128, right? Now what are you looking at? $750,000 and some change? Well, that'll change your life, won't it? How long has this been going on? How many people did they get paid for? And some of the random ass numbers, I gave him $3,200. 30 or $4,300. One judge got $4,300. That means that when the cop went to pay the dude off, she stole $700 on the way down the hall. Any criminal will tell you this, right? She got there with a story. Hey, Your Honor, I don't know what the hell happened. I deliver this crap, right? The envelope came, it was $4,300. I'm going to talk to the people, you know, above me or whatever. She just stole $700. I guarantee you. Who pays somebody $4,300? Especially when every other one you looked at was $5,000. They all seem to be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and then you get these random $132,000 or $23,000. That's what I think the greasy judge was paid. I'm trying to remember what her name is. Bridget Mary Hathaway. Greasy. Woman needs a little bit of powder, a little makeup. You know what I mean? This, people, is worth getting excited about. And I know a lot of people aren't going to get this. But if we don't do something, if we all don't keep talking about this, they may figure out a way to make this go away. This isn't Busby. This isn't people that they're going to say, well, it's her word against his, and this person obviously is just looking for a paycheck, right? What do they say about every person who claims Diddy raped them? Anybody that got sexually assaulted by Diddy, right? They're just looking for a paycheck. My client has never sexually assaulted a man, a woman, or a child. He's never raped anybody. Those things are all BS, right? It's never happened. These are people who are looking for a payday from a rich entertainer. That's all it is. Okay, explain Suzette to me. Think she's looking for a payday? No, she's looking to go to prison, right? She decided to be honest because she thought a prison sentence would be a good time. The cop, same thing. Just decided, well, maybe we'll just go to prison. They're not looking for a payout. I assure you. They're not looking for a payout. All right, so where's the hair? As we used to say in sales, right? Somebody bring in a sales call. And you'd say, they'd go, this guy's got $5,000. Where's the hair? Like, what's the part of this deal where the guy's going to tell me, my wife said I'm never allowed to spend another dollar? Or what's the one thing that you should probably tell me before I go in? Where's the hair on this? Couple of things. When they went out and did the notary public, right? The person that did the notary, which it doesn't say, hey, everything this person just wrote is true. It says, I looked at this person's ID. In fact, probably two of them. And this person really is the person that they say they are. So this is really Suzette Samuels. Bar number, by the way, she puts her bar number right up there with it. And I looked up that bar number, and it does come back to Suzette. I looked all these people up. They are all real. I called, and I'll tell you something. Call any prosecutor's office in the United States of America. You're going to get someone on the phone. Try calling that office and getting someone on the phone. Because I did all day. All day. And I called the mayor's office. You ain't getting the mayor on the phone either. I did reach out, though, and say, this is Tommy Scoville from Lifeboat Media Group, and we would sure like to give you an opportunity to tell us your story. Because paperwork that was just filed claims that you helped put an innocent man in prison for 75 years for cash. Would you like to comment on that? I'd love to give you an opportunity to get out in front of it, because I'll tell you what I'm learning right now. And it's sad to have to say this, but I'm learning that righteous indignation when you get really bummed out and you get really pissed off about something, right? And we do. I'm really angry about this right now. Like, I can't tell you how angry I am about this. But I've been in a million chats where somebody shows up in the chat and they bring up a name, like whoever, right? Denzel Washington. And somebody puts a comment up and says, I can't remember why we hate him. Why are we hating him now? True story. Johnny Scoville took a screenshot of it and said to me, you got to read this. Listen to me. Don't hate somebody because I tell you to hate him. Don't think these are bad people because I tell you to. Go and look at the affidavits and read this stuff, right? But I'm telling you something. This got filed last Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days. 4 days. So does that mean that old Suzette Samuels went to court today to prosecute people? Huh? Did those judges get up on the bench today? Miss Hathaway, the shiny broad, is she up on the bench today sending people to prison? What's wrong with this picture? Where the hell is CNN? Huh? Where's Headline News? Where's Fox? How about Law and Crime Network? This isn't big enough. Huh? Or is this scaring the crap out of people? Honest to God. There are 63 million YouTube channels and about 5 of them are talking about this. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, admittedly, if you don't happen to come across this or you don't come across a channel that's talking about it, most people aren't checking the Derek Lee Cardello Smith filings. Everybody's checking the Diddy filings. A lot of talk today about the Little Rod lawsuit. People are bummed out that it's not going to be a RICO case. I mean, I don't know. That's a lawsuit, right? He's suing Diddy. And he's suing Diddy for a breach of contract. He didn't get paid on something. Now, there's a bunch of crime that went on, and he turned that over to the prosecution. They're still going to prosecute the cat. They're just not doing it under RICO. It comes back to showing damages all the time, right? Like the 60 emails I get a day from people who tell me I'm going to prison. Damages, right? Those people can talk about me. They can say whatever they want. I have to prove damages. And by the way, you would think it might be easy to walk into a court and go, hey, lost 3,000 subs. That's got to be worth some money, right? But it doesn't work like that. You have to really be able to, but Jay-Z, right? Used to call him Voldemort back when I gave a crap. Jay-Z, Sean Carter. I'm sorry, Cindy G, that is the best question in the world. And not just because, I'm sorry, but as far as the who's, Adele, happy to help. Anything I can do to make your life a little bit better, Adele, honest to God, it's why I'm here. It's what we're hoping to do here on a daily basis. So I'm hoping that we brought a little sunshine your way. The entire state of Michigan has a procedure that is like almost every other state, right? Except they have a different word for it. And it's kind of like a preliminary hearing, like a habeas, like when you first show and you get your arraignment and they tell you the charges that are filed against you and all of that. Well, they have a special way that you have to do this in Michigan. And it happens within the first 72 hours or whatever. And when you go in, what the purpose of it is to keep people from getting thrown in jail who just languish in there forever. And what they have found is that they just stop doing it. I'm not joking. I'll be doing a larger show on this, and I'll bring some screenshots and some places that you can footnote to go read about this. But they just plain stop doing it, and they have a vicious jail system, and a lot of places across the country do this. This shouldn't be a shock to anybody, but they dump you into a jail that's miserable, right? They put you into a place that's absolutely miserable. And then they get you to a point. I watched this in the feds. I went to prison for bank robbery. When I went back to the feds for gun running, I wanted to plead guilty as they were putting the handcuffs on me because I knew how long I was going to sit in that county jail eating cabbage at 3 meals a day, losing weight, right? The lights stay on 24 hours a day. You're on 23-hour-a-day lockdown. So you got an hour a day to make a phone call, take a shower, and do whatever. And they're going to leave you in there. People plead guilty to get the hell out. No joke. And Michigan has this. Derek Lee Cardello Smith pled no contest to 14 rape charges he didn't commit. I want you to just think about for 1 second the hell it is for that man to sit in the courtroom 2 days before his trial. He's thinking to himself, I got a homeboy. I got a solid homeboy that's going to save my life on this. He's going to come in and tell people where I was at the time that this was taking place. I've got an alibi witness. I'm assuming it's an alibi witness. I shouldn't do that. I'm making that up. I'm assuming it's an alibi witness because according to the affidavits, this was the guy that could have saved Derek from going to prison. So they had him killed. Right? It's in the affidavit. The prosecutor swears to this. The cop swears to this. Cop swears she was there when the order got sent out to old Vinny Smothers. Hitman and criminal. And what did they do? They killed him. They went and killed the witness 2 days before the trial. And Derek Cardello Smith magically changes his plea. Right? Within a week, he changes his plea to no contest. He knows what's happening now. He's sitting in there going, holy crap. In the appearance he made last year on film, 7 months ago, he said to the judge, Your Honor, as I was walking in here, these people just told me that they're changing the logs, the visitor logs. You know what? Here's where you screw that up, though. Go ahead and change the visitor logs and say that Diddy didn't show up there. The problem with that is Diddy went there with people, right? We heard Gene Deal talk about this. There's other ways to corroborate the fact that this scumbag went and showed up there to what? Rub it in? What do you say to a guy you locked up for 75 years when you sit across the table from him? That had to be a hell of a conversation. Honest to God, people, maybe it's just because I'm really familiar with prison. But Derek Smith is in prison for raping people that he didn't rape. And the people that he allegedly raped have signed affidavits saying he didn't do it. The cop who arrested him said, I was paid to set this guy up. The prosecutor who prosecuted him said, I was ordered and paid by Kim Worthy. This is Suzette Samuels. Signs an affidavit saying the only person in this that isn't guilty is Derek Smith. All of us are guilty. Judges. So when Derek starts to appeal, they got to go pay the appellate judge. The hell is the appellate judge is going to get this and go, wait a sec. New evidence? All three witnesses said they lied? Yeah, we need to reopen this. Nope. Pay that. What's that going to cost you? 20 grand. 20 grand and this pencil-necked white dick-looking judge. Oh, wait till you see it. Like of all of the people, right when his image came up, I was doing it on the computer. And I was with two friends. As his image came up, everybody went, ooh, I don't think he's going to do well on the inside. He doesn't look the type. Doesn't look the type. The sad thing is this. Kim Worthy was a breath of fresh air in that prosecutor's office. Allegedly, she was doing all kinds of stuff to try to protect kids. She had a great pitch. Honestly, she had a hell of a pitch. She's the leader of like the Justice Alliance or some crap. I can't remember what it's called anymore. But she's a big deal. And I've actually had a couple of people reach out to me and say, I'm from the area and you have no idea how much we all thought this woman was awesome. Well, I bet. Right? Because she showed up and got rid of Kawani Kirkpatrick, who was ripping off the city. She went in almost like a warrior and cleaned it up, got rid of the scum. And then she became the scum. Now she's the scum. And she's not alone. There's a hell of a lot of people in here. Suzette Samuels, Kim Worthy, all of the judges, right? All of the judges. Willie Lipscomb. 5K, by the way. He got 5,000. He was the one that signed the arrest warrant. You just can't arrest somebody for nothing. Got to have an arrest warrant signed. You know why you pay a judge $5,000 for an arrest warrant? Huh? Because there's nothing there. You don't have to pay for an arrest warrant. You just got to show up and say to the judge, this guy, I mean, seriously, you think judges go, I'm not swearing out a warrant? I mean, holy hell, folks. You've heard the old they'll indict, they'll indict a ham sandwich. Doesn't mean you can convict it, but no, I promise you, judges are quick as hell to swear out an arrest warrant. How BS did this have to be to know you were going to go in there with $5K? I mean, just as a prosecutor, you don't think they go in there and go, Your Honor, give me a little leeway on this one. I know this might look a little weak, but I'm telling you, we got this guy to rights. Didn't need to do that one. $5K. Okay? This guy's innocent, Your Honor. Can you sign out an arrest warrant? We want to throw him away forever. Will $5,000 be enough to destroy a man's life? How do you eat dinner? How do you shave every day for the rest of your life, knowing that there's 40 or 50 people, maybe 100, 128, if you believe what they say? And that just has to do with Diddy. How many other gangsters are paying them to put people in prison? How many politicians are paying them to put people in prison? Huh? How many people in there got a wife that just likes a dude, right? She keeps talking about this guy, Mark, at work. I mean, hell, you're throwing guys' lives away for $5,000. You might go ham up Mark a little bit, wouldn't you? I mean, it's crooked as hell. Why not? "27 years ago. He was a boy. He's 5'10". He weighs 180 pounds. He has a tattoo on his left arm, which is just the word hatred. And he has a tattoo on his right arm of the American flag. I'm not sure why that is, but those two tattoos in combination depress me, and I can't explain to you how much. Right? Because the hatred shit's real, right? It really is. And I think we're all seeing just how ugly and destructive hatred is. But he believed enough in this country at one point to tattoo the American flag on his arm, and this country bent him over and did to him what Diddy did. There was a terrible joke a long time ago. And I'm going to tell this joke. This is the raunchiest joke on earth, and I'm going to clean this up about as much as I can because it's literally the raunchiest joke on earth. But the joke is about two missionaries who go into the deepest, darkest jungle, and they come across a tribe, and the person comes up and starts talking to them, and they don't understand the language. And then finally, one of the tribes people comes up and speaks English, and he says, "Yeah, years ago, missionaries came here. We speak some English." And he said, "Fantastic. We're just trying to pass through." And the guy goes, "Yeah, the chief's not really cool with people just passing through. So you're given two choices. One of them is instant death, and the other is ruru." And coming to the realization that instant death was probably not something he had a lot of interest in, the first of the missionaries said, "I think I'll go with the ruru thing." At which point, and again, I'm churching this up as much as humanly possible, but at which point every single man in the tribe had coitus with this individual. Obviously not something he was excited about the prospect of, and it literally took hours. And when they got to the second person and he sees his friend laying there literally like on death's doorstep, and they say, "Same choice, would you like instant death or ruru?" And he went, "Yeah, all things considering, I think I'll go with the instant death." And the guy said, "Excellent, instant death. But first, a little ruru." It's a terrible joke. But it's exactly what happened to Cardello Smith. No joke. He lends $150,000 out to buy half of a business, right? And he gets it in writing. So he's going to own half of this record label that he just put all this money up for. Now he finds out, right? This is in the 90s still, not literally now. But then he finds out that his investment of $150,000 is worth tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And the guy you invested with says, "No, instant death. But first, I'm going to rape you." Literally. "I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to give you all the money you're owed. I'm going to rape you. And then I'm going to get you sent to prison for 75 years for crimes you didn't commit, because it's way cheaper to put out $200K to destroy your life than it is to give you what I owe you." And I don't know whether a light bulb went on in that dirtbag's head. Old Kaiser Sose at that moment said, "Geez, how many other people could I get off the books?" Jaguar said that court she was standing in the back of was in Philadelphia, not Michigan. But I wonder how many places Sean Combs has won a lawsuit, or in how many cities Sean Combs has gotten something tossed out, or Jay-Z has gotten something tossed out. This, in my opinion, isn't on CNN because this is going to rock the faith in the entire damn system. You understand? You don't know whether or not the person in prison is guilty of the thing that they're in there for. That's jacked up. Honest to God. You've all heard it. Right? Anybody that ever went to law school or took one law class, or our system is built on the principle that it is better that 1,000 guilty men should walk free than one innocent man should ever be convicted. Thus, the concept of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Not, yeah, you might have done it. No reasonable doubt left. A reasonable man would say, yes, of course you did this. That didn't happen for Derek Lee Cardello Smith. And I came out here and said, he's a piece of shit rapist anyway. Glad he didn't get that $100 million. Even if it is Diddy's money. We don't want to go into that piece of shit rapist, do we? I'm not much better than a lot of the people that just repeat the same crap about me, am I? For real. Just take it and pass it down the line. I'm not going to do that anymore, I promise you. I promise you. I'm going to report things slightly different. I really am. This 128 lawsuits coming out of Texas. Famous people and names and tunnels. And Suzette Samuels is a prosecutor and an attorney. She has an effing bar card. She listed the effing bar card number and then admitted to crimes that no one on earth would admit to. Horrendous stuff. They admitted to killing people, you understand? These affidavits admit to hiring hitmen and having people killed. They're admitting to crimes that are going to put them in prison for the rest of their life. How many people must they got in the back of their head? Because I'm sorry, I don't buy the Suzette Samuels just found God thing. Suzette Samuels is looking for, yes, well, I have been doing this every 20 minutes since the 19th. Now, I have the filing. You can see the filings. If you go over to Pacer, it is on Pacer. His most recent filing is there. The affidavits are there. I have them. You know I can't share people. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a terrible YouTuber. I think we've established this over long periods of time. It's not really my strong suit. However, there we go. We'll do this one for laughs. My name is Nicole Rabior. I am the officer who authorized the police report in the city of Detroit on January 13th, 2008 against Derek Lee Cardello Smith, current prisoner with the Michigan Department of Corrections, obtained through a conviction that was a result of my investigator's report. I state the following information and facts. Herein are true, accurate, and real, and have been deposed. I do swear by and I say that, number one, the police report I submitted against Derek Lee Cardello Smith for kidnapping and sexual assault of Bomarito, what is the woman's name, is false. Number two, the police report I submitted against Derek Lee Cardello Smith for kidnapping and sexual assault of Andrea Bomarito, that's her sister, is also false. I was ordered to make the false police reports against Mr. Cardello Smith by the person of Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Kim L. Worthy of the Wayne Prosecutor's Office, Suzette Samuels, Assistant Wayne County Prosecutor, Jose Ortiz, Detective, and of the Detroit Police Department. I was also paid a total of $132,000 in cash by Sean John Combs to issue the false police reports of kidnapping and sexual assault against the persons of Derek Lee Cardello Smith, inmate number 267009. Number 5, My family's lives and my life have been threatened by this man, meaning Diddy. And the only way to save them was to go through the police report, to go through with filing the police report in this case. Even though I knew it was a betrayal of my badge and my oath as a police officer, I followed through on the actions as I had no other choice. You also took $132,000, Toots. I'm not trying to be a dick. And maybe you were scared to beat hell, but you also took $132,000. You know what I mean? If you were really scared, I mean, you're coming forward now, right? Probably could have done it then too. A little witness protection, something like that. I'm not trying to judge anybody, but you did take $132K. Let's not throw that out. Number 6. My commanding officer on the Northeastern District 5 had me go through with this action, as I have done in many, many other cases before, and as I will also do and have to do continuously. Did you catch that? I'm going to read this one again. My commanding officer, yada, yada, District 5, yada, yada. He had me go through this action, as I have done with many, many other cases before. So in the history, in the past, we've done tons of this. And as I will also do, and as I do continuously. I'm setting people up every day for these people. I'm getting paid. Hey, you sell your soul. Once you've done this once, they got you. And you can say, well, yeah, I want more money. Yeah, we're not going to give you more money. We're not. What are you going to do? Go turn us in? Huh? You going to do that, Rabbi? Or are you going to go turn us in? You're going away too. You put a man in prison. You were there when a hit got authorized. What, are you kidding me?
Rob, you were there.
Rob, you were there. Number 9. I was present when Patricia Penman, detective with Wayne County and Dearborn Police Department, paid Mr. Vincent Vinny Smothers, contract killer and hitman. Not sure what the difference between those two is. Contract killer and hitman. She was there when, let me start this again. I was present when Patricia Penman, detective with Wayne County, Dearborn Police, paid Mr. Vincent Smothers money to kill Mr. Derek Lee Cardello Smith. And when Mr. Vincent Smothers took the money to kill David Cobb's wife, Rose Cobb, the day after Christmas on 2007. Wow. I was present when Patricia Penman paid Carly Carpenter, $4,500 to place false rape claims on Derek Lee Cardello Smith. Carly Carpenter is the chink in the armor. Carly Carpenter is the person that went, I can't do this anymore. And it took a long time. I'm not giving her any credit. Decades went by. But at some point, she started this. She was the person that first popped her mouth open. That's my humble opinion. Because when I looked this up, the first person that ever showed up to say, I lied, is this person. And I think that probably started the snowball that we're looking at right now. I lied under oath to the magistrates. This is number 11, right? I lied under oath to the magistrate of the 36th Court while present with Sergeant Ortiz to obtain the arrest warrant for Derek Lee Cardello Smith. And I violated his due process rights that he is afforded by the Constitution of the state of Michigan. I also lied under oath in the Wayne County Circuit Court in the criminal case of People versus Derek Lee Cardello Smith case, blah, blah, blah. I made this affidavit freely, voluntarily, and with full knowledge that I will have to testify to these facts, and I will testify to them in a state or federal court, civil or criminal, because my actions while working as a police officer have resulted in an innocent man being held illegally. And that man is Derek Lee Cardello Smith, inmate 267009. I'm sorry, what? That's the cop, people. That is the cop. My name is Suzette Samuels. Bar card number P51796. I am a lawyer and an assistant prosecuting attorney for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office in Detroit, Michigan. This is really bad because it was done on a typewriter. I prosecuted Derek Lee Cardello Smith in the criminal case of the People versus Cardello Smith, or Michigan versus Cardello Smith, case number yada yada, during the criminal proceedings of January 1, 2008 through October 31st, 2008. I worked directly for the immediate persons of Kim L. Worthy, Wayne County Prosecutor, and for Mr. Sean Combs, a.k.a. P. Diddy, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, and all those other things, owner and founder of Bad Boy Records. Number one, the Office of the Wayne County Prosecutor has framed Mr. Derek Lee Cardello Smith for the crimes of sexual assault, sexual and misconduct beginning in 97, in 2008, and again in 2019 while he was incarcerated. Two, the person who directed these prosecutions were and still are Sean John Combs, musician, music mogul, artist, and founder of Bad Boy Records, and Kim Worthy, current Wayne County Prosecutor. Number three, Mr. Sean Combs and Kim Worthy ordered the Detroit Police Department's 9th Precinct Northern District to arrest and frame Derek Lee Cardello Smith for multiple rapes that he did not commit. God help us, does this make you sick? Mr. Sean John and Kim L. Worthy directed me to use my powers and office as the Assistant County Prosecutor to falsely charge and convict Derek Lee Cardello Smith with 6 counts of criminal sexual conduct and 2 counts of kidnapping, which I did out of fear of my life, and which I did because I was paid to do so. In this and in many, many other cases, totaling 128 black male citizens. Further, affiant saith not. Now, wasn't quite as long and flowery, was it? I don't think she was nearly as happy signing that as the cop was. I think we're seeing the dominoes, and I think it started with a witness that said, this person didn't rape me. And then 2 more that said, I didn't get kidnapped or raped. And then we got to the cop, and the cop took us to Suzette. Suzette's statement's this big. It's not very big, but she admitted to everything. Everything. And you'll notice that she put it squarely on her bosses. I find it ironic that she calls her bosses Sean Combs, right, and Kim Worthy. She worked for Diddy. How many other prosecution offices across the United States? Did this happen in New York? Did it happen in California? Right? We know he's got homes in New York and California. Did it happen in Florida? He spent a crap load of time in Atlanta. We got anything in Georgia? Is he paying people off there? We know that he spent a decent amount of time going and screwing around in Pennsylvania too, right? We got anything up there? It's disgusting, isn't it? It's mother-loving disgusting to sit and start wondering how many other places the whole place is on the payroll. The part of this that's the biggest bummer is how fast I threw this dude in the trash 7 months ago. For real. That fast. Not for a split second did I think, even for a second, maybe there's somebody lying about this dude. Maybe there's somebody that's got an agenda. Maybe somebody benefits from this guy failing. This guy going away takes the attention off of who? But that wasn't my thought. My thought was, this guy's a piece of shit. I don't know a damn thing about Derek Lee Cardello Smith. I know that he met Sean Combs. I know that he filed a lawsuit saying that he was molested by the Archdiocese of Detroit, Catholic Church. Now, last year, 7 months ago, I said, he's probably trying to hustle that too. It's probably a con. They sold me. They sold me quick as hell. Probably about as quick as they sold, I was going to say the jury, but there wasn't one. He knew he was gone. He pled no contest. Not I did it, right? Nolo contendere. I'm not going to contest this because I don't think that there's a chance in hell I'm going to beat you. Especially since Suzette is on the payroll. Especially since Kim Worthy is on the payroll. Especially since the cop that arrested me is on the payroll. The judge that signed out the warrant. The judge that signed out the... everybody's getting paid off. And this poor bastard's in there. Writing appeals to cities that he didn't get caught in. Like putting a damn letter in a bottle with a cork in it and throwing it off of a ship. No joke. And I sat here, smug as hell, and said, he's a con man. Check it out. He's filing in 4 different jurisdictions at the same time. If I had given that cat the benefit of the doubt, I'm not saying I am a rocket scientist, because I'm not. But if I had given that cat the benefit of the doubt, I'd have started unraveling this thing a whole lot quicker. And when I found out that Diddy showed up there, that should have been enough. Honestly. Why would you show up to a guy you don't know in a prison, right? None of that makes any sense. And Gene Deal said he went there, right? Well, now we know. Now there's nothing. Look, for all the people that go, well, it could be bullshit. How could it be? The prosecutor is lying. The cop is lying. All of these people are now lying because they want to go to prison. Oh, that's logical. No, I get it. I get it. Because make no mistake, these people, even cutting deals, they're going away. They're going away. I'm sorry, you can't convince me any of this is BS. But I'd like to know where Jesse from Law and Crime Network is. You know what's funny too? By the way, I don't know how to say this. It's not anybody you think. Let's start with that. I had a call today. Somebody reached out to me and said, hey, how about coming on and talking about this this stuff that's going on in Michigan? Which is nice. You know what I mean? It's nice to have somebody reach out to you and invite you to come on, especially when things have been with all of the con man BS, I don't think you're going to see me on a lot of programs anymore. And the reason is pretty simple. I know the odds that I'm going to try to come up with a way to cancel myself probably aren't going to happen. I'm not gonna find myself annoying enough to try to destroy. I'm not gonna try to trash my reputation to save my reputation. But if I go on with other people, there's no telling what the hell happens. Now, to the people that have never done that to me, and there is some, Joel from Surviving the Survivor is one of the all-time great people. But if you dig, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to bring me to him anymore. I don't want to bring all of that hate to his channel. I don't. I'll be honest, I'm real content right here. I'm content here saying rape, suicide, right? Sexual assault. I don't know if you've noticed, people, but for the last 4 or 5 videos, we're not talking like kids anymore here. We're not talking about Bolivian marching powder or Voldemort. We're talking about Jay-Z Carter. We're talking about cocaine and crack. We're talking about heroin. I'm sorry, but there's just nothing more emasculating than not being able to say the words that you want to. And so we're going to... it is a database for... Here's the thing. This isn't hard to find once you know what you're looking for. But you have to be looking at Wayne County, right? It's the last filing in Wayne County by Derek Lee Cardello Smith. It was filed on the 18th. And here's the thing. I could continue because I have every single one of the affidavits in front of me, and we could continue to read these. But what it really comes down to in every single one of these, good Lord. Sorry, hold on one second. Yeah, what this comes down to, folks, is that they aren't picking up this story. Think of your favorite person on the real news. Why aren't they talking about this? For real. You know, they got to, I'm one not too bright convict. These guys got rooms full of people that are just combing over names that have anything to do with the Diddy stuff. You're going to tell me they haven't come across this? You're going to tell me CNN doesn't know that this has been filed? Fox doesn't know this has been filed? But BJ and Rabbit figured it out. Well, actually, the two of them probably are smarter than most of the people at CNN or Fox. But yeah, Brock Bandy says pedos protecting pedos. Pedophiles protecting pedophiles ain't such a bad guess. I mean, honestly, but whatever we've got here currently, they telling this story. Now I'll tell you what I did today. In fact, since we're all friends, I'll read it to you. This is the email that I sent to virtually every news source that I could send an email to today. I said, I'm writing to bring to your attention a developing story of significant public interest involving allegations of corruption, conspiracy, and grave injustices that demand immediate and thorough coverage. This case centers on Sean P. Diddy Combs and his alleged involvement in framing and incarcerating an early investor in his record label, Derek Lee Cardello Smith, since 2008. The story, uncovered through recent court filings in Michigan, presents shocking claims that Diddy orchestrated a campaign to silence Smith, who invested $150K in Bad Boy Records in the 90s. Instead of compensating Smith for his investment, he said first a little roo-roo. Now estimated to be worth tens of millions of dollars, P. Diddy allegedly conspired with law enforcement and legal officials to frame Smith on false charges of sexual assault and kidnapping. Key points in the developing scandal. Framed and incarcerated, I go through all that. The official admissions by name. Bribery and corruption. How much was spent? Threats of violence. Conspiracy and cover-up. Demand for justice. I hit all the points. Might think one of them might tell the story, right? Started shooting those off at about 9:30 a.m. this morning. No mainstream outlet has heard of this yet, apparently. Or what, they think it's BS? You can look these people up. She put her bar card number there. Makes it really hard to fake. And you know what? If it's fake, it's a hell of a story. If you got a cop and a prosecutor to swear out affidavits to try to get a man out of prison, and they were able to get all of the victims, alleged victims, to also swear affidavits that they were lying, that's pretty impressive shit. Even if the story's fake, it's a hell of a story. But if it's real, it's the most important story that we've ever had. It is. Because it says that if you've got money, you can pay to have your enemies locked up for the rest of their lives. I don't want to live in that world. And I don't know who does. And you know what? I've been to prison. Right? Multiple times I've been to prison. 3 altogether. You'd think I'd give old Cardello Smith the benefit of the doubt, wouldn't you? But I didn't. I just pushed the same narrative right down the line. You ever done that? Huh? Did you ever just push a narrative right down the line? There's a woman that sent me a really hateful message the day that everything exploded in my life. She had been on my channel for probably a year and a half. She didn't ask one question, right? She didn't give me an opportunity to say one word. She just called me a mother effing con man and blocked me. Now, maybe I'm a mother effing con man. And maybe I'm not. But Derek Lee Cardello Smith ain't a rapist. So maybe before we all echo whatever is being said about somebody, I personally, in the future, I'm going to say things like, the man allegedly did this and he was convicted of it. I think I'll word it like that. Because that doesn't mean anything anymore. Doesn't mean he did it. I'd like to live in a world where that's what it means, but it doesn't. And that number is 6%. 6% of the people in prison are in there for crimes they didn't commit. I'd say it's a hell of a lot higher in Michigan. Yeah. I'd say it's a hell of a lot higher in Michigan. All right, peeps. I'm chasing this story down until the bitter end because it's a bigger story than anything else that's going on in the world. I'm sorry, it really is. It brings into question our entire judicial system. It literally says we need an overhaul of biblical proportion. Just take the state of Michigan and tell me, right, in your infinite wisdom, take whatever God gave you for those IQ points, right, and put logic to the test on this one and come up with an answer. Take 24 hours. What do you do with every single person who has been convicted of a crime in the state of Michigan since, say, 1979? What do you do? Because you can't, with any reasonable doubt, remember that word? There's no way beyond a reasonable doubt that you can say these people aren't in there for crimes that they did not commit. We know now that this has happened. Not counting Cardello Smith 128 times. That's one prosecutor admitting this. You know how many prosecutors there are? You know how many judges there are? You know how corrupt this could be? Okay, so when Kwame Kilpatrick took over, he consolidated the 12 police precincts into 6 police precincts. 2 of them are mentioned in this. Does that mean that every cop in all of those precincts were dirty? Because if that's the case, then every single prosecution that went through that office that was handled by those cops, all of them are now in question. And the 8 years worth of allegedly missing files so that they could cover up the Cardello thing, what about that? What if you plead? What if you put an appeal in and your records have been destroyed? They're going to keep you in? This is the craziest question. Yeah. It's ugly, man. It really is. It's ugly. And let's keep it real. If you gave Derek Lee Cardello Smith an island and $1 billion in cash, you can't make him right. There are people that are going to call him a rapist until the end of time. That's the nice thing about passing that BS down the line, right? Without putting a thought in, just repeating the narrative right on down the line. The problem is, when you figure out the guy's not a piece of shit, I was a lot more popular 7 months ago. When I came on here and called the guy a friggin' rapist, I probably had 700 people in my chat. Here I am trying to fix it with 138. I'm sorry, Derek Lee Cardello Smith, I really am. But if it makes you feel any better, I've learned the valuable lesson. It's not a mistake I'm going to be making in the future. And that's no joke. Justice for, hold on one second. Yeah. I'm going to keep chasing this down. I promise you. And you know what? If nothing else, I've not covered a story on the lifeboat ever in true crime that made me, that had a more profound effect on me in terms of making me look at who and what I am and who and what all of you are. And when I say all of you, I mean all of you, right? I don't mean you guys are fantastic, but you know what I'm saying? There were 12-hour and 6 and 7-hour live feeds yesterday, completely dedicated to content creators trashing each other. Honestly. Absolutely blows my mind. We're going to talk about issues here. We're not going to talk about foolishness. Between now and the next time that I see you, I'm going to do a lot more research, right? I'm going to bring all kinds of pictures. I'd like you to see what these people look like. Because a lot of them look like white bread. I went to Harvard, and I don't mind locking up black people. That's what those judges look like. I'm sorry. I guess I assumed they were all going to be white. I guess that just really makes me, I don't know what that makes me. I just was shocked to see a black dude that was throwing away black lives, knowing how many white judges just did that summarily for decades. To see somebody do it to their own was amazing to me. Nothing quite like getting stabbed by your own. That judge's name was Willie Lipscomb. According to the affidavit, he got $5,000 to help destroy Derek Lee Cardello Smith's life and get him 75 years for rape. Every single charge, one right after the other. God help him. Along with all of these affidavits was also a writ of habeas corpus. If you're not familiar with what that means, right, the literal Latin translation, I think, is produce the body. And in other countries, when a person is arrested, they don't have to have a hearing within 72 hours. In our country, that's really what we're doing, is we're producing the body. Within the first 72 hours after you're arrested, we prove that we didn't arrest you and then just kill you. Right? We prove that you're okay. Here you are. They bring you into the court, right? And you stand up and they read the charges against you officially. And at that point, they set up a bail and you go through the process, right? But that's what they're doing. They're producing the body so that people can see that, yes, indeed, Tommy Scovel's under arrest. He's safe and he's moving forward with the trial, yada, yada. Well, you can file one of those when you're already in prison. This is a post-conviction relief. And what you're saying is, I am wrongfully convicted. I should not be here right now. Right? A habeas corpus writ, when you're in, you're saying, I should be let out now. Right? This is a miscarriage of justice. How in hell is he still in? How can anybody read these affidavits and not literally have that dude on the next Uber out of that prison and to someplace with a crapload of security? Because I would imagine that there are going to be some people, I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to keep this real. When you start looking at the pictures of all of the people whose names have already been involved, I'd be real surprised if at least one of these people doesn't swallow a bottle of pills. For real. I'd be shocked if I don't see a suicide in this. There's a lot of people involved here that have this has been a staple in this part of the world. This kind of corruption has been going on, right, for so long. It's so accepted that I think these people just do what they do with impunity, and they thought they'd get off of planet Earth without ever getting caught. And now it's reality roundup time. Right? And I'll be honest, the shiny judge, I think she's the weak link. I'm not rooting for that, by the way. I don't want to see anybody get off easy. I'd like to see her go do her rip in general population. That's what I'd like to see. All of these people need to go to prison. And they don't need to go to some kind of prison, right? Because, oh, wait, you went to law school and you were a good person. It's really the first thing you ever did wrong, right? So what do you get, 15 years? What? If this carries less than them putting a needle in your arm and ending your life, there's no justice on planet Earth. But it better at least carry life in prison. How about an eye for an eye? Derek Cardello Smith's been in there, 27 years? Match him. At a minimum. I think all of you owe him at least however long he's been in. Amy, it's good to see you too. Brock Bandy, love you, brother. People, between now and the next time I see you, grab some photos, we'll get some other fun going on. This is a story I'm not letting go of. I'm not. Unless somebody can prove to me that Suzette doesn't exist and that bar number and all that, there's somebody that showed up with a fake ID to get these things, because these are affidavits, people, right? Sworn out in front of a notary that checked the person's ID and all of that. If we're not hearing about this in a couple of days, then our entire system is so corrupt and so broken that I'm going to go hide. I'm not kidding you. No one's safe. Sammy Sue says he needs a good lawyer. Sammy Sue, right now, he is doing this pro se. He is representing himself. In fact, he hasn't even paid the filing fee on this. He may have to go informal paupers if they cannot... he has until such and such a time to file the $650 it's going to cost to file all of this. Something tells me that filing fee will be paid. I don't think he's going to need to come up with it. I have a sneaky suspicion that somebody out there is just going to pay that so that justice can move forward. Marcus Polo, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I don't think that was asked as a genuine statement. But if it was, we've held off on setting a date. Between now and the next time I see you, work on a little harm reduction. Reduce that harm for you. Reduce it for somebody else, whatever form that means. Okay? If you got an addiction, maybe take your foot off of the gas pedal. Right? Ease it up a little bit. Just back off a little. All right, people. We will see you on the next one. Between now and then, reduce some harm. God bless.